Hey guys, what's up? My name's Niandeal, and today I have a bit of a different start to this video. I'm currently on a server that I play on called Swancraft. I hop on here every now and then with my buddy Peyton. We pretty much just started this new playthrough on this server. We're just running out of a dirt hut right now, but we do have a shop that we just built in the shopping district, and it's a tavern that sells a lot of different food items, and for that, we want chicken. The problem is, I built this little tiny chicken farm for just our personal use, and you can see that it works, but it's not quite tavern meal ready, you know? We need a lot more chickens to come in for this if we're going to be selling them. So basically, this thing's super simple. There's just a bunch of chickens here. They lay eggs into this hopper, sends them into the dispenser. Whenever there is an egg in the dispenser, it sends a signal through the comparator, which fires it, and hopefully you'll get a tiny chicken on this slab here, as we have right there. But every time the egg will fire, it also sends a double pulse through this dispenser, which sends out just a temporary blade of lava, which will, when the chickens grow up to their full adult state, make them succumb to the inevitable death that is the lava blade. And it works pretty well. I mean, it's not the prettiest redstone contraption I've ever made in the world, but you know, it at least works. And I also have it toggleable over here with this lever that pulls this block out of the way so that if I just want to store up a bunch of eggs instead of trying to run the chicken farm, I can do that and it will never fire the lava or dispense a chicken. This one, on the other hand, seems to work rather well, and it's quite a bit bigger. So instead of just having the one little slot of chickens, we actually have 6. I have the lava blades hooked up to a hopper clock so that it just sends them out, and we just heard one fire. The only problem with this design is that the hoppers are visible to the baby chickens, which means they can just hop up and hide right there, but as soon as they grow up into their full adult state, they'll just shoot right back down here and then be hit by the lava. This one works so much better, and I just now finished building it, and I figured since it took me so long to figure out the timings for the hopper clock and all that, I'd go ahead and show you guys how to do it. So the redstone is not too terribly complicated, but I'm going to go ahead and break each piece down for you guys. I'm going to show you how to make the tiny one over there first, and then I'll show you how to make this bigger one. Ah, my mic. Alright, so this is the small farm just completely finished up on the redstone testing world, so you can see the redstone behind it. Technically speaking, you could probably get away with using a few less repeaters, but this is just kind of so that you can see the mechanics all sprawled out. You're welcome to fiddle with it and shorten down your redstone components as you wish when you're building it. This is just like I said, so it's easier to kind of see how it all works. But basically, it all starts in this little chamber here. You'll have a bunch of chickens which will lay eggs into the hopper. Hopper sends them into the dispenser, and then the dispenser sends a signal to the comparator. Repeater strengthens it, and then it just goes straight into the block underneath the dispenser with this repeater here, which fires the egg out. We also have this line coming into the side of the comparator so that when this signal goes all the way through, it will cut it off. Reason for that is if you have like 3 eggs come through at a time, you want it to be able to handle all 3 eggs instead of just locking up as soon as there's more than one in there. It's kind of weird to explain. If you know how comparators work, you'll kind of get what I mean by that. If comparators are still a little confusing to you, just trust me that this tiny little addition here is what makes it repeatedly fire. Then the signal carries on over here, hops up into this block, which is under this dispenser, which has our bucket of lava in it. That sends our first tick through there, and then with a double repeater delay here, so it's just 8 full ticks. It sends a second pulse through pretty quickly, which sucks the lava back in. That way we're not leaving the lava out. The reason why we have to do this is because in one of the newer versions of Minecraft, and I don't know which one offhand, they made it to where chickens, when they die, have a chance of throwing their items up instead of just dropping them on the ground. So if you just had a block of lava right here above the slab, when the chickens grew up into it, then they would lose some of their items into the lava. If you have this little lava blade system, it just sends it out quick enough to hit the chicken, and then sucks it right back in so that the items are free to fall into the hopper. So this is a pretty simple build, and I'm going to go into the tutorial for it right now, and then I'll show you how to make the big boy. So this whole farm will fit into this tiny 4x7 area right here. You can, of course, make it smaller, as I've said, but I'm just going to build it like this so you can see everything else splayed out. You're going to start by placing a chest right down here in the middle, and then put a hopper on the back of it. We're going to build this from the front in. That's kind of the easiest way to do it, in my opinion, especially if you're building into a wall. That way you can make sure all your hoppers are facing the right way. So chest with a hopper facing into it, and then right on top of that hopper, we're just going to go ahead and put a slab. Put a couple blocks here behind, and then a dispenser facing in, and then you can get rid of those blocks. Place a building block of your choice underneath the dispenser. It just needs to be something that will conduct a redstone signal. And then around the back, another hopper right like that. That is the egg dispensing setup all done, minus just the redstone wiring. Next, I recommend you go and take some glass and just build your chamber up. You can technically use something other than glass. I just like the look of glass. I'm weird. And then you'll do the same thing over this hopper here. And again, if you make it too high, then when you throw the chicken eggs in, when you're first setting it up, they won't fly out. And then we're just going to go ahead and cap this off with our trapdoor. So the next thing we're going to set up is the lava blade. Go ahead and place a block right here, and then we're going to put a dispenser facing this way out of that block. And then again, underneath it just needs to be a block that'll conduct redstone signal. We're going to build out 2 this way, and then out 2 this way. Put 2 blocks out from the side of this dispenser, the egg firing one, and then another block just right there like that. That's our framework all done. Next thing is going to be putting a comparator facing out from this dispenser, and then a repeater immediately after. You need the repeater because the comparator is only going to give off a strength of 1 if there's a 1 egg in there. So the repeater sends it completely full strength. Place that block there, and then run our redstone dust out and around into the side of the comparator. That's our clock all done. Put a repeater leading into the back of the block that's underneath the egg firing dispenser and connect that up. And then we're going to do our lava blade system, redstone wire there, and then a repeater right there. 2 more repeaters, 1 leading into this side block and 1 leading into the same block as this other one, and you're going to set those both to the 4-tick maximum setting, and then just connect them up with your redstone dust. And that is everything ready to go, except we just need to set this here to 2 ticks. If you have it to 1 tick, then no matter how many eggs you have in there with this clock, it's still going to gum itself up. If you have it set to 2 ticks, then it's going to make sure that it gives enough of a delay to fire everything through. So the last thing that I like to do is put a button on the side of this dispenser. Reason for that is if you're on a particularly laggy server, or if you have way too many eggs go through at once, even with this little clock with the double tick delay set up there, it can still end up firing 1 too many times through this lava dispenser. If you're AFKing at it, it'll eventually fix itself, but if you see it happening, you can just hit the button again and it'll just fix it right then and there. Alright, then we need to put our lava bucket in the dispenser, and then we're going to spawn some chickens up top here. You can of course go ahead and toss some eggs in, but again, it's only a 1 in 10 chance of actually spawning a chicken from that. Oh, well, prove me wrong then, why don't you? And I want them to start laying eggs right away, so I'm just going to use chicken spawn eggs, but you're of course not going to be able to do that. You do want to be careful with how many chickens you put in here though, because of the entity cramming limits. So this is why I ended up having to build the bigger one instead of just having a ton of chickens crammed into the tiny one, is because if there's more than, I think it's 24, 25, somewhere around there mobs in the area. Again, I don't know all the code numbers, I just know redstone. Then they will actually start dying off. So if you just have like 20 or so chickens in there, it'll still be dispensing enough to feed you for just a solo in your dirt hut kind of chicken farm. So with the half slab here, when the baby chickens are spawned, they're not tall enough to reach the lava blade, but as soon as they do grow up, they will be in the force of it, and then they'll burn up and drop their stuff. So this little chicken farm is all completed and ready to go. And you can go ahead and decorate this thing up however you like. If it's in your wall, then it's in your wall. If you have it outside, I mean, build a little shack. Hopefully you're a little better of a builder than I am. I do not like the look of these birch logs. Give me a sec. There, that looks a little bit better at least. Have some color variation. Alright, now we're on to build the big boy. So for this one, I'm not going to build it ahead of time like I did that one. I'm going to have you guys walk through with me. It's basically building this same module over and over, minus the lava blade. We'll put that one up top. So we are going to start with having a chest alternating like this. I'm going to go ahead and build the 6 like I did on the server. So we're going to have 6 chests like so. And then a hopper running into the back of each of them, if I can get my shift clicking down proper. There we go. Blocks behind the hoppers. These are again going to be the ones that power the dispensers that fire out the eggs. Dispensers. Then throw your half slabs on top of these here hoppers. Hoppers running into the back of each of these dispensers. These are going to be the ones that pick up the eggs. Then we can do our little glass chambers going all the way around here. Alright, now go ahead and throw your trapdoors up top here. These are going to be where we throw the eggs in to prime the dispensers. And then we can build 2 blocks up here. You don't have to use glass, but like I said, I like the look of glass in my farms. And you want to extend it out on the sides like that, and that's going to be the stopper for the lava, and then we can put our glass right on the front here like this as well. Now this middle block right here, in between each of these, is going to be where the lava first dispenses. So we need to put a dispenser facing down right on top of that. And we're going to do that alternating. So this one will cover these 2, then we'll come over here. This one is going to cover the middle 2, and then the last one right here on the end will cover the last 2. Now we're going to build our walls up again in a bit of an alternating fashion. Go ahead and cap this one up too like that. Skip the one that's underneath the dispenser and then go over there. Skip the one under the dispenser over here, and then the last one again, and then build up the front as well so that we don't have any escapees. And then the last thing is to put another cap of glass here on this side, and then if you come in through the back right here, we're going to place another piece of glass right like that, and that's going to trap the lava so it only goes the way where we want it to go. And then I'm going to also go ahead and cap off the top just because we don't want anything falling in that's not a chicken. And this is the framework all completely done for the big boy. So now we can get into the redstone. We don't have any comparators coming out of the dispensers here. We're not actually measuring the eggs as they go in. We're just going to have a constant clock running into it so that they can dispense automatically when they do fire in. So to get these things fire automatically, all we need to do is build a double comparator fader clock. I realize it sounds far more complex than it actually is when I say it like that. Place two comparators side by side facing in opposite directions, redstone capping them on the back, and one piece right here leading out like that. Then we're going to do a block on the face of this one, and then a redstone torch. When the torch powers this dust, it sends a signal through here. The comparators with their funky mechanics will slowly fade it out, and then when it no longer has a signal going into this block, the torch powers on again, literally just creating a slow redstone clock. You can just use repeaters if you don't have access to quartz for this, but I recommend this so that you don't have a lot of really fast-paced ticking sounds coming from your build. And then wiring it up is super simple. We're just going to go and place redstone dust running into all of our dispenser blocks like that. And that should reach all the way down since it's only a 6 module. And now every time an egg is dropped into one of these, every single tick it will fire out into the slab. Now up here is where things get a little more tricky. So I'm going to come out the back end over here, and I'm going to build myself a little platform just so I can make a hopper clock. You can put this hopper clock anywhere that you want, as long as it'll run into the top dispensers for the lava blade, but I'm going to put it just right up top here. So for the hopper clock, all we need to do is place a block here and then shift click a hopper facing into it, break this block, and then shift click a hopper on the face of this one. And if you look, the two are facing into each other, and if we put a block on the inside, it's just going to keep bouncing back and forth between the two hoppers. You need to extend this out a little bit because the next thing we need to do is put a sticky piston right there and then a sticky piston right here. And you can break the blocks that's on the back of these ones. We need to leave these bottom ones though. Place a redstone block on the face of one of the sticky pistons. And what that is going to do is when the redstone block is on top of one of the hoppers, it's going to lock it. So if we put a bunch of stuff into this one here, you can see they just keep draining into this one instead of just bouncing back and forth. Place a comparator running out from each hopper into the block that's right next to your piston. Then a piece of redstone dust right on top. And then that's the hopper clock pretty much done. As soon as one of these hoppers has items in it, it's going to power the relative piston, and then it's going to, when it's out, deactivate, other one will push it across. You can't do normal pistons though, you have to do sticky just because there is a little bit of a delay in when it will push it across, and if you do have that delay, you can end up coming across a really fast clock, just passing it. Trust me, you want to use sticky pistons. And then you'll want to take it just a random amount of blocks depending on how long you want the clock to be. I'm just going to put this 54 stone in, and you can see we start going. I should not have done 54, so I could show you it working a little faster. There we go. And as soon as this one has all of our items in it, it's going to push it back across, and this one's going to start picking it up. That is the hopper clock. Really simple. When I first heard of hopper clocks, I thought they sounded super complex, but that is not the case. Now I'm going to run this back out a little bit like this. It's going to not quite come all the way to the end, but kind of close. And then we're going to place a torch on the back here. When it transfers over, it's going to give a very brief pulse. The reason it happens is because this will, see, very briefly have no signal strength, but then it'll cut it off again. Carry this on out. It does go a little bit further towards the end than I originally thought. Now we're going to need 3 repeaters. We're going to place them in a chain here with just 2 of them set to the maximum amount, so 4 ticks each. And then I'm going to just go ahead and loop it around dust, and then another repeater set to 4 ticks each. And then I'm going to cap off each one of these open blocks that I have just so that I have a solid surface to work on. Technically, you don't need all of them capped off, but it's easier to run your redstone if you're not worrying about missing glass, because with glass it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. Now all I'm going to do is run this repeater out like so, and just into all of our dispensers, and then we're just going to connect this line right up like that, and that's going to give us our double pulse. So when this torch fires, it's going to do 1 quick tick through all the dispensers, let the lava kind of simmer, and then it gives it just enough time with those delays to spread all the way through. And then we just need 3 lava buckets because we only have the 3 dispensers. Place 1 in each of them. Oh, there we go. And we have our double pulse going through so that it just sends it out, but that was not long enough. Maybe I miscalculated. Okay, so for some reason on here, the timing is different than on the server. Maybe the server's just a little laggier or something, but it's not giving the lava enough time to spread to the side. Easy fix. We're just going to throw a couple more repeaters into the mix. So I'm going to place 1 here, again 4 tick, 1 here, again 4 tick, and then we're just going to run that back into our line. And that should give us plenty of time for the lava to spread all the way across. There we go. spread all the way to the sides. And again, the more items you have in the hopper here, the longer it'll take in between the lava blade activations. It doesn't really matter how frequently it goes, as long as you have enough of a gap in between the firings to let the items fall into the hopper without being burned up. I love watching that happen, just the perfect timings. Every time there's a perfect timing in redstone contraption I make, or anyone makes, it's just super satisfying. Alright, so I'm going to load these up with a few chickens each, and by a few, I mean a metric ton. And I did build this one a little bit differently than how I built the one on my farm. It is one wider, I mean deeper in technically, but that is just so that instead of having the hoppers on top of these pistons, they're on the sides, and that's just so the baby chickens don't actually have a chance of hopping out and into the hoppers. They should go back in as soon as they're fully grown, but just in case, this works a lot better. The only problem you'll face with this design is that this little block where the lava can spread from, the chicken can't hop up there, but for my time running the farm, I have not had hardly any chickens that are up there when they end up getting caught on fire, and if they do get caught on fire, then they'll go running around and they'll hit one of the hoppers eventually anyway and drop their stuff. Alright, so that's these 2 chicken farms completely done. I personally prefer the bigger one just because, like I said, the perfect timing is just, it's always fun to watch. And you get a lot more turnover. The smaller one over here is, of course, more economical if you're running low on redstone supplies and you just want a small personal farm, but if you want something bigger, and to be completely honest, this does not take up that much more space than the small one when you take into account going vertically. The only difference here is we have to run our lava blade in from the side. You could do it vertically, but it's just a lot easier on redstone if you aren't using a ton of supplies to root it up and about. Alright, well thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and I hope I didn't confuse you by throwing so many random contraptions into these builds, like the hopper clock and the fader tick and all that. But as long as you build them up as I showed you here, then they should be working fine. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video, and leave a comment letting me know what farms or other redstone contraptions you'd like to see me do tutorials for in the future. With the newer Minecraft updates, such as 1.14 and such, there is a lot more availability for redstone mechanics and such using the composters and the lecterns as I've already showed. If you are interested in some of those, I'll link some of my videos showing those off in the description. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!